The day was May 23rd, in the middle of a very active period of tornadoes in the United States. I found myself in Oklahoma, looking at a conditionally significant but low confidence severe weather setup that I didn't know would end up fulfilling many of my storm chasing dreams that day. Starting the day in Oklahoma City, I headed back west towards my favorite part of the state, the rugged, hilly country of the Southwest near the Red River.
But another really photogenic day. Well, if it's anything like that again here today, I'm gonna get some crazy photos, some truly insane photos. Yeah, I mean this storm is classic flying eagle look, and it's hooking right now, and it's got a favorable storm merger in process. I mean, this is about to produce a pretty sturdy tornado, and it's not going to take very long at all. I think this thing is about to make something crazy happen, something really crazy.
This was just one of those days where I felt it and I knew it was going to happen.
Over here, I have some pretty solid precipitation fall happening.
On radar and in person, the supercell was getting that look, the tornado look.
Storm continuing on over here. Developing this nice inflow in the region where I'm at. That's where it's headed.
I'm just trying not to get in the precipitation at all if I can, both for safety and for viewing. Look at that storm.
Once I got on the road to Eldorado, there was no turning back.
This thing is hitting mothership levels. Look at this thing. Look at that inflow right there.
In person, the speed of the inflow really clued me in onto how strong this supercell was getting.
We got Doppler radar right here.
Seeing the Doppler trucks and just getting a feel for the inflow at this point, I was certain this thing was putting down a large tornado very soon.
Let's see what you guys can see. I'm gonna get out and take some pictures.
Don't know if you can tell by just looking, but it was pretty hard to stand in that inflow with how strong it was.
The inflow on this thing is crazy.
As I checked my phone, I realized for the first time ever, I was under a PDS tornado warning.
Here's an idea of how the inflow is right now.
1 camera that I had literally bought just the day before, I tried to capture as much beauty as I could. Here's a phone time lapse. I started using the phone after the live stream died, and hidden in all that haze, the tornado is actually already spinning, but it's very hard to see. The inflow, the structure, the dust being kicked up as the tornado's subvortices started coming together under the bowl funnel, buried deep behind all the fog, the precipitation. If you look closely with the contrast enhanced view, you can barely see on the time lapse the spin of the tornado and the mesocyclone above it. With this view, contrast enhanced and a little bit of editing, you can actually see that deep RFD cut and the collar cloud above a monstrous hidden tornado. At this time, I looked on radar and realized I was dealing with something extremely strong, easily the strongest tornado I'd ever seen. And with the contrast enhancement of these photos, you can see subvortices that made up the bigger, grander tornado. So I decided to reposition and start getting some of the best photos that I've ever taken as a storm chaser. This tornado tracked for quite a long time and took on many forms during its life. It didn't take long after recycling for it to give me my favorite form. Let's watch this highlight reel again, but stabilizing on the tornado. Unfortunately, due to limited road options and the tornado deviating with a northwards turn as it occluded, I had to double back and was able to catch up with it, at least the RFD curtains wrapping around it. And in that time, I also saw where it crossed with Highway 34 and witnessed some of the damage that it left behind in its wake. Fortunately, in that regard, this tornado tracked over mostly open country. Whole bunch of snap trees over here. Luckily, everything that I witnessed was limited to trees and power lines, as well as ground scouring. In this image, you can see a vast swath of broken trees and extensive ground scouring. My efforts to perform search and rescue if necessary was complicated by this storm that came in after the big tornadic one. Fortunately, this one was more of a big hail producer, and I didn't see much damage when I went across what I believed the tornado had tracked over. As I mentioned earlier, the used camera that I had bought the day before was given its first chase on May 23rd, and these time-lapse photos that you see are that second storm as it tracked towards the east. Now this right here is a very rough, rudimentary look at the tornado's path with the radar overlay, as well as photos that I took at the approximate time and location that you see the tornado on radar. My drawing of the path is certainly not exact, but it gives you a rough idea of the tornado, where it started, tracked, and ended. Staying over mostly open country, the tornado only caused EF2 damage, but it grew to a maximum of 1.1 miles, and it was on the ground for about 53 minutes, with mobile radar measurements indicating wind speeds over 215 miles per hour, and no reported injuries or fatalities. This is pretty much the defining chase of my career so far. What a fantastic day to remember.